I just forgot to go live, but it's gonna go right now. Okay, I'm just making sure that it's going through. Just forgot to go live, but okay, so it looks like it's going. So I'm gonna give about a few minutes just to make sure if there's enough people already coming in. And I'm aware that everybody watching this is not going to be on the chat, which is fine. However you're going to see this is totally your cup of tea. But I want to make sure if everything's going through. And I know my voice is already going through, so that's awesome. And I know that this, for what I'm seeing on YouTube, is going to have a bit of a delay compared to what I'm doing on OBS. So, hello, Neko. Welcome. And Zeta, you're already here. Welcome too. And I'm sure there's going to be some people that will be joining in later on. But how's everybody been doing? Okay. Whether if it's going through my Discord stream or if it's going through YouTube. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to give it for about a few minutes before we really get started. Okay. Alright, everybody made it through the ice event that just happened? Okay. Hello. Welcome. Great to see you. Alright, yeah. Maybe just a couple more minutes and we'll get started proper. Just wanted to see whoever's going to be coming in. Like I said, not everybody has to chat, and that's totally fine. Okay. It's going to be a pretty big day, so, and I'm sure that everybody, let's see, doing good, getting some drawing done. Things got way below 30 here. Yeah. Still quite a bit of ice around my area, but it's definitely melted down significantly, so I'm glad that things are starting to get, well, not like warmer per se, but it's going to be less icy around here going forward. And, all right. Okay, so just one more minute and then we will get ready. Definitely can see that there is a substantial amount of people, and it's going to get more once we go through. Okay, so I think I already got my slides in, which is what I really need. Okay. All right. You know, my mouse is being a little weird, but you know, it's because the YouTube live stream has a bit of a delay compared to the OBS and Discord stream, so it's natural. About 10 seconds delay. So, okay, just to go ahead and check the time. Okay, I guess we can go ahead. So, I want to thank you all for coming here into this Discord stream. It's a pleasure to having you all here. So, we're going to go through an agenda before we get into everything else. Now, let's go ahead and get on rolling. So, all right, so a bit of our agenda that we'll go through is an introduction, which is, you know, who I am, what I do, and, you know, what I'm going to be up to. Then the next thing we'll go through is an exciting announcement that I'm going to be going over, and you're going to see what that's about, and arguably the meat of the special announcement. Then we're going to go through the original content plans that I have going on that's going to be starting in 2027 and so on. The brand upgrade or the rebrand, as I'm going to be discussing afterwards. Current projects, the Megatronic Legacy Saga, and introduction. In the past, plush videos, and oftentimes I would do, sometimes I even do stop motion videos. For those of you who have been following me all the way back in 2010, 2012, I have been doing quite a bit of those, especially with the likes of the Mortal Brothers plush videos, the Great Unicorn Legacy videos. That's what I've done on my older channel. And then going from 2016 to 2017, I have been doing quite a bit of changes. I want to go for something that's animation related, but I could never reach to that point. And so I went through a bit of a rebrand into the Obscure Titan because I want to go for something that has a bit more of that fantastical or fictional look compared to what I was before. And I still did pretty much the same thing as I did, but then around 2020 and so on, I started dabbling into 3D animation, and that is with Blender, which is an open software that you can use to create 3D models and 3D animation with. So quite a bit of cool stuff that I have done, and then I've gone through quite a bit of a visual change, but still the same label. And now I've been doing more 3D animation stuff, and I've been getting more into that stuff and just keep building up and building up. And that's what I've done at that point and still do to this day. So now that we've got our introduction out of the way, the big thing that I'm about to unveil is none other than my most recent completion that's going to be happening. But I am just about to complete my associate's program at Full Sail University as an online student. So what did I do before coming into Full Sail, coming to that decision? What I did previously was through a community college back in 2023, which was Collin College. That was my first higher education step that I wanted to go towards to advance my career, we'll say. And I've been pursuing originally going for more of the animation and game arts degree. But then as I was looking through some other options to maintain my job, but also kind of going into that field, I ended up looking at Full Sail University. They offered both campus and online programs, and I went for the online program in computer animation, which is what I wanted to pursue in. And then yeah, it's a pretty big step that I have been moving towards. It's a more accelerated program compared to most traditional colleges, where even Collin College has a 2-year, maybe even 4-year program. But for this, it's more accelerated. So you could complete this in about a year and 2 months, maybe even less if you're going for certifications, because I do have certificates. But which is the reason why I chose Full Sail, because I wanted to go for something that I could use more of my time on and keep owning into 3D animation. And it's a university that takes place in Winter Park, Florida, which is where that is. They've got some really cool stuff there. It's helped me a ton all the way last year. And what comes next after my associate's program is I'm going to finish up the bachelor's program. That's going to be starting out of the way. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some submissions. So here is my first part, and if you want to take a look at that, I do need to take a step out for just a minute, but go ahead and take a look at this stuff, and I'll be right back. Right, so just needed to step out for a quick thing, but not enough to disrupt the stream whatsoever. So the Computer Animation Associates program has a multitude of classes that are more pertain to the specific degree that you're going for. So, for example, if I'm going for computer animation, I would need to take some of the more core stuff, such as creative presentation, psychology of play, and English. And after that, I would be taking some of the more hands-on classes, such as 3D Foundations, Fundamentals of Art 1, and so on. So 3D Foundations has you practice assignments using Autodesk Maya, which is a more industry standard software. So you can do something similar to what Blender does. Of course, I have been using Blender long before I started using Maya. There's definitely some differences here and there, and Maya controls more like how Unreal Engine works in terms of controls. Some of the elements, such as 3D modeling and an animation, are similar to what Blender does, and of course, the difficulty patterns are different from Blender. So you might be able to do better with Maya. You might do better with Blender. But that's pretty much a lot of the stuff that I did over the last year. And Fundamentals of Art 1, it's more a traditional kind of art class you take. And of course, that's going to go more to character concepts and environment, and then thumbnails and sketches. So I hope everybody's enjoyed the first part. Let's go ahead and get into the second part. So the next part is going to showcase the second Fundamentals of Art. Like I said, it's more geared towards to character concepts and thumbnails and sketching. Now, model creation is a continuation of where 3D Foundations was, but you're going to get more into creating these toys, these puppets that are in Maya, and then just painting them with Substance. Actually, I want to say Adobe Substance Painter, which you can use to paint material on the models. And that's going to be a lot more prevalent in visual development, which you're going to be taking textures, details, and normal mapping and all that with these details. And then Project Portfolio is one of those classes where you take to use everything that you've learned from that point onwards and then apply that into building your portfolio. So far, I've already completed the first and second portfolio classes, and next month, which is going to start tomorrow, is going to be Portfolio 3 and Seminar 2. But for Portfolio, you're going to be using reference material to start building an asset for a specific part of the portfolio, which is mainly what you'll be doing, as a 3D modeler, an animator, and all that stuff. I mean, even professional artists have to do this. So, okay, if anyone wants to take a little look at it before we move on, I hope all of you enjoyed that papercraft Leichu from my Fundamentals of Art 1 class. Okay. And if you got enough of that, there's about 2 more that we'll go through, but each of them are just about a video. So the next one we're going to take a look at is my 3D Animation 2 submission, which is where I take this character model and then have him try to get his hand on the pumpkin. And you'll see somehow the pumpkin and the desk just kind of move as he gets there. So let's take a quick gander at it, shall we? Okay, let's go over that again. Okay. I'll go through that one more time. So if you notice that small bit of animation, because it's only about 5 seconds, but if you notice how some of the props are being affected by his movement, you can tell that there is that bit of motion. And of course, there's a thing that's called the 12 principles of animation, such as squish and squash. I think it's supposed to be the ease in and ease out, and many others. So I hope you all enjoyed this little bit of animation, because we're going to go into the next thing, which is compositing fundamentals. So this one is more geared towards using a thing that's called Nuke. It's a compositing focused, well, more like an editing focused program that you use to take visuals and assets to build them into something where you would build visuals in, such as having to put smoke in the room, putting in explosions that's out in the background. If you've seen Bayformers, or if you've seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that, that's what compositing fundamentals are for. It's building in visual effects. Let's take a look at this real quick. This is another short one. Okay, I'll put one more in. Now, true story about this final assignment in my compositing fundamentals, which was before I took some Christmas time off. I largely used 2D assets to create the rooftop piece. Now, there is a 3D space that exists in Duke, and it would allow you to set up different controls to be able to use the software. You can make this control in a similar way that you use Maya. You could use that for some other programs, but it's definitely a solid software to use as far as how compositing can be used. Now, I'm pretty sure that there are some other compositing software that can be used to create different visual effects. And I know that DaVinci Resolve does that. So, hope y'all enjoyed all the submissions that I've showcased from Full Sail University. So, like I said, I will be starting my bachelor's program on March 2nd. I'm going to be finishing up the associates on March 1st. And I've only got 2 classes I need to get done this month. So, hope y'all enjoyed the submissions because we're going to go into the next stuff. All right, so what does this look like going forward into 2027? Well, this is 2026, but we'll say that we're going to be getting into 2027. So I will be talking more about one other thing that will be pertaining to this in a bit, but I am currently moving towards to creating original works. And if you've seen indie development or indie animations or different indie shorts, indie series like indie games or what have you, I do want to start gearing more to creating original stuff because as much as I enjoy doing some of the established IP stuff, I want to start promoting myself more and maybe start getting into getting myself out there in the industry. Even if as an independent developer, I want to do something like this. One of those is Zujitos, and it's a more adult-oriented, and I know things can change over time, but I want to gear towards something where I can showcase some original works. And so you can see here with Bakota and Princess Leichu, they kind of have their own adventures going on. And I'm planning to get into production with this sometime next, in April of next year. So it's definitely going to be some cool stuff, as well as with the Shogun Titan over here. And Leichu will be the poster girl or the poster princess that will be representing the series and potentially my brand, as I'm about to get into at some point during the stream. Okay, so definitely looking good over here on the live stream. All right, let's go ahead and get going. So speaking of my brand, I have decided, and this is already being updated, but I've decided to go by the name Okmo-Ziko Titan. Now, why would I want to make this change? Well, the reason for this is because I wanted to start kind of putting myself out more and to kind of get into it's still a more fantastical punch, but something that kind of has more of that original bit to that, and something that can gear more towards to the animation medium, which is something that I want to start pursuing in more. And if you've already seen my recent installments that came out last year and even in 2024, that's what I'm starting to gear more towards. So stuff like essays, reviews, speed draws, and gaming and all that sort of stuff will still be present, but they're going to be secondary, if not tertiary. And this will be taking place on November 1st of this year, and it's likely to change sooner than that. So it could be on my birthday, it could be maybe even before that, but just to make sure, something that's more to the original name. You know, because I don't mind the label obscured, but I want to upgrade and advance to something that's more to the animation aspect of it. Now, iterations and the final logo, or final, I'm saying that loosely, it could change, but here's what I've been working on as far as creating a new logo is, and if you followed me for the past 5 or 6 years, you know that I tend to do some changes with my logo in time, as well as with the visuals of my works. You can already see that with the font that I've been using, which is Dragon Slapper. I previously used the Iron Maiden font back in 2017 up until 2022, and then I changed into this, the Dragon Slapper from Dragon's Lair, and that's what I've been doing. Yep. And then if we're good on that, we're going to move on to the next bit, which ties into the previous slide that I talked about. So the Megatronic Legacy Saga will still continue throughout this year. And there are 2 more films that are being planned out after 2026, but they will be much more subdued. And after they're all done, the series itself is done. Not going to do any more of this after maybe sometime in 2028 or so, because animation does take quite a long time to do that, but there will be fewer. And so Zujitos and original content that we'll be making, that will be in the works in post 2026 and onwards, they're going to take more precedence, because I want to start getting more into creating original content, as well as I want to start monetizing something that I make and something that I actually own. So Zujitos and anything that's original, that's my stuff, so I can make money with it. But okay, and some other things that I could do after I complete the bachelor's in April of 2027. Okay, so I've already put out Godzilla -3. That's the most recent one that's already out, and then another one such as Nibiru Crisis Lithium is currently in the works. And so more updates will be coming along. And like I said, there's still going to be more coming this year, but after that, it's going to be fewer, and then it'll be all done. Okay. So just to summarize what we have talked about is our introduction. The Full Sail Associate program has already been completed, as well as the Bachelor's being the next thing to move towards. The original content plans, the brand upgrade and rebrand, as well as with the current projects that are still taking place and will likely get completed at some point before, I want to say 2029 at latest. Maybe it could be done in 2028, but you never know. Very nice. All right, so this is a good segue into our Q&A before we get to our honorable mentions. So if you are here and you have any questions you want to, I think we'll likely, for 20 minutes, maybe even less. If there's not any more questions, then we can move on to the next thing, which is honorable mentions. But I think this would be a good time for us to ask some questions. So if you have any questions you want to put in the live chat, or if you're on my Discord server, you want to put them in the chat, please put your questions in. We still got some time, so definitely put your questions in and I'll answer. And I hope you all enjoyed the live stream so far. And yeah, Rumi just trying to smile, even though she's not holding it in very well, but she'll manage. Very exciting news. We're looking forward to seeing all this play out. Congratulations on your college work. Russ said you did a great job on your presentations. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I tried my best on my presentations, and I guess I can go ahead and open this up. I know that wasn't a question, but I'll say this anyway. So I've been working more on my believe it or not, I've been working more on my communication skills as well. Being able to deliver what I have to present to people, as well as, delivering ideas to people. That's how I do. Let's see. Next question is, will you still need additional voice work done when Zujitos does into production? Because we're happy to help out if needed. Yeah, there is going to be some voice work involved as far as like Zujitos goes on. Now, I've already got one voice actress who is already interested in playing one of the characters in the film. More details will be coming along as we get into Zujitos later into this year. Maybe even, between that and 2027, we'll definitely share details on that. But as it is right now, there's already one who's already interested. And if any of you who want to contribute and help out with Zujitos, I'd be happy to bring you on in. We'll definitely plan things out as this year continues. Okay. So next, anybody who has another question, feel free to put them out. Let me see how many people there are. I think there's only about 4 people. Okay. Just making sure if there isn't anyone who would like to this is a good opportunity to ask questions. Because that's what you always do in presentations, is that near the end of presentations, you let the folks ask questions, just kind of know the process of whatever you did. That's kind of been the whole thing, presentations. Well, okay, part of it, but still. Okay, so I'm going to allow for about a couple more minutes to see if there's anybody who's going to ask questions. I'd be happy to answer. Russ said he would be happy to be a voice actor if you need another one. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted if I need it, but yeah, I'll definitely consider. All right, very nice. I mean, if there's not any more questions, I was hoping for some more people who want to ask, but if we're happy with what we have with our questions, we can go ahead and move on to I guess you could say the final slide, maybe semi-final. We'll see what that looks like at the end. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay. So we're going to end off with our honorable mentions. So the first one I want to go ahead and put out there for those people who have helped contribute for OC submissions for Mechatronic Legacy are Gigi, Zeta Magnus 101, Toa Talatia, Saphira, Wacky Zebra, and Lord Genie Julius. They have been great contributors to put their OCs in, handle them with great care, and they have been tremendous on what they present. And we've worked together on these things for them to be able to be shown on my channel. It's been a great honor to having them be featured in. So the second honorable mention I'm going to be putting out there are voice performance contributions. So Hannah for voice acting has been a tremendous contributor, especially for her voice of Shantae Hisashi for the Mechatronic Legacy Saga, as well as for, I want to say, Magilu on at least Nibiru Crisis 2. Jackie Callista has been another great help as well, who had voiced for Jalessa in Nibiru Crisis 1 and 2, voiced as Vera for Nibiru Crisis 2, and some more to come, as well as for Hannah. Zeta Magnus has also been a great contributor for playing as Soundwave, and Bubba for Mega Terror, Nibiru Crisis 2, Fall of Norkarchy, and Godzilla Minus 3. Toa Talatia has also been great as well for voicing some of the Norks in Fall of Norkarchy. Actually, no, it's Norkarchy. He also helped with the Jackals, as well as his OC's namesake. The first contributors I'm going to be pointing out as far as how they, when they got their OCs into the works that I have. Zeta Magnus 101 with his character Angela, I think it was Longhorn. Correct me if I got that wrong, but I want to make sure I got that right. Lord Genie Julius, his OC's namesake, as well as Gigi with Michael, not Michael. But yeah, it's her character Rankcash. Makai Rankcash. That's the name. Trying to get the name right, but it's Makai. Not to be confused with McCall. It's Makai Rankcash. Yeah, that's been added in. And then leading into the last honorable mention is the most dedicated. So Toa Talatia, Zeta Magnus 101, and Gigi been the most dedicated in the group. So you've absolutely have been tremendous contributors. Also been very supportive of the project, and potentially many more to come. So I want to see if there's anything else after that, which is pretty much the end of the stream. So I do want to take this opportunity for everyone here just to say, yeah, Lawman. Okay, I want to make sure I got the name right. But anyway, I want to go ahead and just say thank you all for coming into this live stream. It has been a tremendous honor being able to present this work, as well as what I have going forward and for 2027 and so on. And, it's been, you don't know how much it is just to be able to do this opportunity and just making it a thing that I can really do just at the absolute best of my ability. And so the thing that I want to tell you all before we close this off is be the best version of you. Because if you're the best version of you, you can bring the best to everybody around you. So, that being said, I know we're already finished up with January, but let's just make the rest of 2026 a bright year. If nothing else, whatever you can do, you can't control everything that's outside of yourself, but for yourself, you can absolutely do. So, I want to say thank you all, and I hope you have a splendid day, week, month, year, what have you. So, that's about it. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and find somewhere to end the stream. Okay, there's the end stream. So, put this out there. And then we're going to go ahead and stop right there. Not yet. So maybe just try to get a few more messages in before we close out. Yeah, streaming has definitely been a little bit easier on YouTube than I thought it was going to be. Might need to include kind of like a closing and opening segment where you have your animations or stuff like that in before you start the stream. Okay. All right. If nothing else, then I'm going to go ahead and close out. So take care.